Mathematics Stage 9, Paper 2, 2025, Cambridge Lower Secondary Progression Test. So this is the calculator paper. You are required to come to the exam hall with your calculator, your geometric instruments, as well as your tracing paper for transformation questions. Okay, we are required to answer all questions. Total mark for this paper is 50. So let's get right into it. Question 1. Angelique is n years old. Yuri says, to find my age, add 2 to Angelique's age, then square it. We are asked to write an expression in terms of n for Yuri's age. Okay, so this is, since Angelique's age is n, we add 2 to it, then we simply square it. So this gives us n plus 2 squared. Question 2. It takes 4 people 6 weeks to paint a bridge. Find the number of weeks it will take 2 people to paint the same bridge. So what do we do? This is it. First method, let's set it up. 4 people gives us 6 weeks. Or 1 person should take a longer time. 4 times 6, which is 24 weeks. Now, if 1 person takes 24 weeks, certainly 2 people will take lesser time, which is 24 divided by 2, giving us 12 weeks. Okay, alternately, we could do what we call the Z multiplication. So 4 people take 6 weeks, 2 people takes X weeks. We write our Z, let me make it more prominent. You see this Z, so this is our Z. Good. So 2 times X is the same thing as 4 times 6, which gives us, so 2x is equals to 24. X is 24 divided by 2, giving us 12. So this is exactly the same thing we obtained before. Now, Z multiplication is used when the question is in direct proportion. Okay, we can use this analytical approach, or we can simply just set it up like this, which is easier than we obtain what we're looking for. 3. The diagram shows a hexagon, A, B, C, D, E, F. 5 of the exterior angles are given on the diagram. We are asked to calculate X. Now we recall that the sum of exterior angle of any polygon is 360 degrees. Okay, so we know that sum is equals to 360 degrees. Good. Now, so it means that if we total all of these exterior angles, we should get 360 degrees. So all we need to do is to add them up. Then we subtract from 360. That will give us an answer. So let's go. So we have 95 starting out here, plus 30, plus 60, plus 70, plus 55. Okay, so this is 310 degrees. So X degrees will be 360 minus 310. So we have 360 degrees minus 310 degrees. This gives us 50 degrees. So X is basically 50 degrees. Question 4. Yusuf has this question for homework. Factorize fully 5x squared minus 15x. His answer is this. So we're asked to explain why Yusuf's answer is not correct. So this is what we do. We first of all try to obtain the correct factorization for that. So 5 here gives us x squared. This is minus 3x. So x is common. We go with x. This becomes x minus 3. Nothing is common anymore. So we see clearly the HCF is 5x. HCF is 5x. Highest common factor is 5x. So the true factorization should be 5x open bracket x minus 3. Okay, when we expand this, we should get the original answer. So how do we answer this in checkpoint? So we explain why this answer is not correct. You could simply state that the highest common factor, or the HCF, is incorrect. So this is just one way of stating this, okay? The highest common factor is incorrect because in this case, the highest common factor is 5x and not x. So this is not the correct expression for this. When you are factorizing an expression, the idea is to get the highest common factor outside of the bracket. Question 5. In 2022, 1 liter of fuel cost $1.50. In 2023, the price increased by 20%. In 2024, the price decreased by 10%. Calculate the cost of 1 liter of fuel at the end of 2024. So this is it. So at the end of 2023, this is what happens. The price increases by 20%. So that will be, we can see the calculator paper and we're bound by time. There are some time constraints, so we need to be fast, need to be smart how you solve questions. If there is an increase, this implies 100% plus 20%, which gives us 120%. So 120% will give us 120 over 100 of multiplication of the initial price, that is $1.50. So this will give us a price at the end of 2023. So we come up here, we say that 120 divided by 100 is 1.2. So we have 1.2 times 1.5. So that gives us $1.08. Okay, $1.80. So this is what we'll get. Wow, good. Now in 2024, there's a decrease. A decrease implies that we're going to have 100% minus 10%. So this gives us 90%. So in 2024, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have 90%, which is 90 over 100 of the price at the end of 2023. So that gives us 1.80. So pull up a calculator. So what I need, 90 divided by 100 is 0.9. So if I multiply the initial price, the price at the end of 2023, by 0.9. Let's see what we get. We get $1.62. Okay, so this gives us 1.62. So come here, we'll record it properly. So this is how we solve this. Okay, just remember, when it's an increase, you are adding. When it's a decrease, you are subtracting. And that is the trick to solving question 5. Now, question 6. The diagram shows a pair of parallel lines and an isosceles triangle where AB is equals to AC. Find the value of X and the value of Y. Now, since these are parallel lines, anytime they mention parallel, look out for alternate angles, corresponding angles, and also. But yet, clearly, we see that 32 is alternate to this, so those are alternate angles. Okay, now X, this is a straight line. The sum of angles at a point on a straight line is 180 degrees. So X plus 32 degrees is equals to 180 degrees. So X is equals to 180 degrees minus 32 degrees, which gives us 148 degrees. So X is 148 degrees. Now, since this is an isosceles triangle, and here is 32, this angle must be equal to this angle. Okay, so how do we get this this base angle? Let's call them A. So here is A, and okay, here is A. Let's write that A properly. Okay, so this is what we get. So I could say that 2a plus 32 is equals to 180 degrees. Okay, because a plus 32 will give us 180. So 2a plus 32 is 180 degrees. So we have 2a is equals to 180 minus 32. We're still going to get 148 degrees. And the reason is the exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of the interior opposite angles. Okay, so we didn't need to actually do this. We could have known that these two angles will sum up to 148 degrees. So from here, we could simply say A is equals to 148 over 2, which gives us 74 degrees. So clearly, this angle here is equals to 74 degrees. This is a straight line, so we see that 32 degrees plus 74 degrees plus y degrees, everything sums up to 180 degrees. So we add this up, we're going to have 106 degrees plus y degrees, everything is 180 degrees, implying that y is equals to 180 degrees minus 106 degrees, giving us 74 degrees. So this is 74 degrees. And this question is 3 marks. Question number 7. So here are some equations of straight lines. We know that the standard form in the gradient intercept form of writing straight line is y is equals to mx plus c. Okay, where m is the gradient. So m is the gradient, c is the intercept on the y-axis. Okay, so write each equation in the correct part of the table. One has been done for you. So the positive intercept, let's see, y is equals to 2x plus 3x is 2 is a positive number. So that's why we put it here. Okay, so this one, 5 minus 3x, we're going to write it here because the gradient is minus 3, it's negative. So write 5 minus 3x. 5 minus 3x. Okay, now let's look at the second one. Okay, y-intercept is, okay, we're looking at two things actually. Now this one is here because we see that this is intercept. The y-intercept is positive. Okay, because 3 is positive, the gradient is positive also. Here, the y-intercept is still positive because 5 is a positive number, the gradient is negative. So this is correct, it should be here. Okay, now the second one, minus x minus 2, here we see that the y-intercept is negative. Minus 2 is a negative number. Then also, the gradient is minus 1 there. So in y is equal to minus x minus 2, m, which is the gradient, is minus 1, and c is equals to minus 2. So I'm going to write this here. Y is equals to minus x minus 2. Good. Now for you to end this 1 mark, you need to get this. So if you fail any of this, you don't end this. The triangle ABC is shown on the grid. Draw the image of triangle ABC after the enlargement. Scale factor of 2 and center of enlargement ratio. Center of enlargement has been marked for us luckily. So all we need to do is to project the vertices and get our enlargement. So I'm going to flip over to Kami to enable us to draw straight lines. Okay, so this is what we'll do. We're going to connect these centers to each of the vertices. So from here, I draw it out. Okay. Good. Then from the center of enlargement, I project also passing through this. Okay, make sure it's passing through the vertices. You pass through point C. Good. Then from here also I project. Good. So what do we do next? We need to locate the vertices of that triangle, the large triangle. Remember, the question tells us that the scale factor is 2. So what it means is that AB, which is 3 units, 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, so it means that the image, which is A prime, B prime, should have a space of 6 units between them. So now you could say it's this one, but if we count from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we see that we have 9 boxes, so it doesn't scale. But if we choose here to be our A prime, okay, it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the other vertex, which is B prime. Now 1, 2, 3, 4 units AC. So C prime, from here, let's count out what happens. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 4 times 2 is 8. So this should be the image of C, which is C prime. Okay, so all we need to do is to connect. You can change the color. Let's connect the points. So from here, good. It connects to this. Okay, so this is the enlargement. Okay, if you check very well, this side is 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so this is the enlargement. So in order for you to do an enlargement, you need to project the center of enlargement to pass through each of the vertices. Then from there, you locate the image of the original vertex. Then from there, you locate the images of the original vertices. Then you'll be able to draw your enlargement accurately. So we are done with question 8. I'll move over to question 9. Complete the graph of y is equals to x squared plus 5 for values of x between -3 and 3. You may use the table to help you. So most of it has been done for us. Now what's really going on here? Well, the function given to us, or the equation is y is equals to x squared plus 5. Okay, so how did we get this 14? We just said, okay, y is equals to, anywhere I see x, I'll substitute the values of x here. So for the first one, that will be -3 squared plus 5, which gives me a 9 plus 5, which is 14. So that's how we obtain this. Now for this one that is missing, y will now be equals to x squared. In this case, it will be 2 squared, okay, plus 4. So that will give us plus 5 rather. You see that it's x squared plus 5, not plus 4. So this gives us 2 squared is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9. So here should be 9. The last one, we have y is equals to 3 squared plus 5. So this is 9 plus 5, giving us 14. So here is 14. So we can plot this when x is 2, y is 9. So x is 2, y is 9, is between 8 and So that's the point there, between 8 and 10. Then when x is 3, y is 14, x is 3, y is 14, this is it here. So that's all that there is to it. All we need to do at this point is just to connect this. And that's it. Okay, so we end these 2 marks. Question 10. The number of people in the stadium is 24,300. Correct to the nearest 100. Find the smallest possible number of people in the stadium. Okay, so what's the least approximation to the nearest 100 that gives us this answer? This is unit, this is tens, and this is the 100 value. So we need to make adjustment to the tens value. And that number must be 24,250. Okay, this is the least number that we can approximate to get 24300. Okay, because if we want to approximate this, we cut it off here at the tens value and we add, it becomes 24300. The children in the class measure the length in centimeters of their feet. The table gives information about their results. So this is the length, this is the frequency. Frequency is telling us how many of the students' feet length lie between 10 to 14. Okay, so 3, 4 between 10 centimeter to 14 centimeter. 21 students have their the length of their feet fall between 14 centimeter and 18 centimeter. 6 of these students have their feet length fall between 18 centimeter and 22 centimeter. Okay, now what's the midpoint? The midpoint, this is a group frequency data. So the midpoint is the center of this. So to get 12, we do 10 plus 14 over 2, which gives us 24 over 2, which is 12. So that's how we get this. To get 20, we do 18 plus 22 divided by 2, which gives us 40 over 2, which is 20. So basically, we are just adding the lower class limit to the upper one. You call this the lower class limit, the upper class limit. So when we add it divided by 2, we get the center. Okay, so midpoint times 12, basically we are multiplying the frequency by the midpoint. So 3 times 12 gives us 36, 21 times 16 gives us 336, 6 times 20 gives us 120. Now the question is, calculate an estimate of the mean length of this feet. We know that the mean represented by x bar is sigma fx over sigma f. We've already done the fx because this is our x already. We'll multiply x and f. So this becomes, sigma means we add, so we're going to do 36 plus 336 plus 120, everything divided by the total frequency. 3 plus 21 plus 6 gives us 30. Okay, so we simply pull up our calculator once more and let's see what we get here. 36 plus 336 plus 120 gives us 492 divided by 30. So we have 16.4 centimeter. So this is the mean length or the feet of the students in that class. Question 12. It says solve the inequality minus 6 less than 2x minus 4 less than or equals to 3x. So we're going to solve it in 2 parts. Minus 6 less than 2x. We divide both sides by 2. So this becomes 2 into 6 gives us 3. 2 cancels 2. So minus 3 is less than x is the lower bound of that solution. So we have 2x minus 4 is less than or equals to 3. We have 2x is less than or equals to 4 plus 3 or 3 plus 4. 2x is less than or equals to 7. So x is less than or equals to 7 over 2, which is equals to, okay, so this implies that x is less than or equals to 3.5. So the range of our solution must be minus 3, less than x, less than or equals to 3.5. Question 13. The table shows the height in centimeter of a sample of 30 Chinchilla penguins and a sample of 30 Humboldt penguins. So this is the height. This is a column for the Chinchilla penguin, and the last column is for the Humboldt penguins. Now, what's the meaning of this table? So this is basically telling us, for instance, there are no penguins that have height 60 to 62 centimeter. Okay, for the range 62 to 64 centimeter, only one Chinchilla penguin fall within that category, and 2 Humboldt penguins fall within the height range 62 to 64 centimeters. So this is how we interpret this. Now the frequency polygon for the Chinchilla penguins is drawn on the grid. Okay, so the dashed line shows the Chinchilla penguins. We are required to complete the frequency polygon for the Humboldt penguins on the grid. Okay, so let's see. So far, we have 3 data inputs for the Humboldt penguins here, here, and here. So this corresponds to height range 64 to 66, and the number of Humboldt penguins there is 15 centimeter. Is 15, number of Humboldt penguins there is 15. Okay, now great. Which means we are here now. Now the next one is height range 66 to 68 centimeter. So that corresponds to 7 Humboldt penguins. So we come here 66 to 68. This is 7 centimeter. Falls between 6 and 8. The next we have height range 68 centimeter to 70 centimeter. We have just 5 Humboldt penguins there. So 68 to 70. We have 5 of those penguins there. Will mark this point. The next one is 70 to 72 centimeter. We have just 1 Humboldt penguin there. So this is it. Okay. That one, just 1 corresponding to this height range. Then the last 72 centimeter to 74 centimeter. We do not have any penguins that fall within that category. So that comes back to here. We mark this point. So what do? We simply connect those points, and that's it. Okay, so we successfully drawn our frequency polygons, and we've connected every point for the Humboldt penguins. Now the next question is asking us a tick to show if each statement about this sample of 20 penguins is true, false, or there is not enough information to know. So the first statement, the Chinchilla penguins are taller on average than the Humboldt penguins. Okay, I think true. Why is that? So let's look at the it. We see that this is the Chinchilla penguins, this is the Humboldt penguin. Merely looking at the frequency table, we see that more of the Chinchilla penguins are in the higher height range. Okay, between 64 centimeter to 66 centimeter, we have Humboldt penguin 15. This one is just 2. And as the height range increases, we see clearly from the table that the Chinchilla penguins are taller generally. Now, if you also come to the frequency polygons, the same thing is captured here. So we take that as true. Now, the shortest of these penguins is a Chinchilla penguin. There's not enough information from this chart for us to say that. From the frequency polygon, from the data itself, there is not enough data for us to infer that. Now, none of the penguins have a height greater than 72 centimeters. That is true, and it's very clear from the frequency table. From this table, it's very clear. Now, you see that between 72 centimeter to 74 centimeter, it gives 0, 0. So even you see that we don't have any of these penguins that fall within this height range. So we take this as good. Now, it's very important that you take these three correctly for you to earn the 2 marks. If anyone sleeps, you may end up earning just 1 mark from this question. So let's solve this equation. What do? We cross multiply. Question 14. So if we cross multiply this, we have 5 x minus 1 equals to 10. So 5x minus 5 is equals to 10. 5x is 10 plus 5. 5x is equals to 15. Okay, we divide both sides by 5. And finally, we will get x is equals to 3. Question 15. Here is an inequality. 4 is less than root x less than 6. Given that x is an integer, write down the smallest possible value for x. Okay, this is already bound by 4 root x, which means clearly this to be an integer. Okay, you cannot say, if you say root 16 is 4. Okay, 4 cannot be less than 4. So the number, this number x must be greater than 16. So the next integer after 16 is what? Is 17. Okay, since it must be an integer as a whole number, it must be 17. Okay, so if you take root 17, it certainly will be greater than 4. So that falls perfectly within that range. Expand and simplify. Okay, so we open this is equals to x times x gives us x squared. X times minus 4 gives us minus 4x. Okay, then we'll say 2 times x gives us plus 2x. Okay, 2 times minus 4 gives us minus 8. So this gives us x squared minus 2x minus 8. So this is the expansion. A sequence has a 10 to 10 rule, subtract 3, then square. The first 3 terms of the sequence are 5, 4, and 1. We are asked to write the 4th and 5th terms of the sequence in the boxes. So basically, attempt to say subtract 3, then square. So let's see how it works. Okay, 5, to get this, we do 5 minus 3, which is, then we'll square that. That is same thing as 2 square. That's how 4 was got. So to get the next one, I will do 1 minus 3 squared. So this will give me minus 2. Okay, we'll square this and we're going to get 4. So that must be 4. Okay, so if here is 4, so we do the next one will be 4 minus 3 squared. So this gives us so that gives us 1 squared, which is 1. Okay, so it's more like an alternating sequence. Let's look at question 17b. Here are the first four terms of a different sequence: 2, 8, 1, 28, 32, 7, 6, 8. Complete the 10 to 10 rule for this sequence. The 10 to 10 rule is squared, then I wrote multiply by 2. Why is it so? Let's test it. The first term, n is equals to 1. When we square it, 1 square is equals to 1 times 2 equals to 2. If we take the second term, how did we obtain this? 8. 2 square is equals to 4 times 2 is 8. So basically, the 10 to 10 rule is squaring, then multiplying your result by 2. Question 18. The diagram shows a triangular prism. Question 18. The diagram shows a triangular prism. The total surface area of this triangular prism is 57 centimeters square. I asked to find the value of x. Okay, so x is the length of the prism. So what do we do? Now, let's see. The prism has two triangular faces. Okay, area of a triangle is half base times height. So I'm going to say for this face, triangular face, and this face. So let's maybe do it in these triangular faces. The areas will be 2 times half times the base is 2 and the height is 1.5. So this cancels this. We are left with 2 times 1.5, which gives us 3. So this is 3 centimeters square for the two triangular faces. Okay, then the base, the rectangular base, for the rectangular base is going to be the length of the prism times the width. So that will be x times 2, which gives us 2x centimeter square. So we have 2x centimeter square. Okay, so we are done with this. Then for the rectangle at the back, so for the rectangular side, we're going to get, okay, so that will be 2.5. No, that shouldn't be. Okay, that's the same length here. Here is still x. That will be x times 1.5. So x times 1.5, which gives us 1.5 centimeters square. Then this slant rectangle here. So this slanted rectangle, so we're going to get the length times the width, that is x times 2.5, which gives us 2.5 centimeters square. Okay, let's run through what we did here. So we found the area of the two triangular faces. Area of a triangle is half base and side. So we got this. Then the rectangular base, which is this base here. Okay, this one is length times the width. The width is 2, so that's 2x centimeters square. Then this back here, this same length x is here also. So it will be x times 1.5, giving us 1.5 squared. Then the slant, which is this one here, the length is the x, but the width in this case is the hypotenuse of this triangle. So x times 2.5 centimeter gives us 2.5 centimeter square. So we can total this, and that will give us 3 plus 2x plus 1.5 x. Remember, let's not forget that. 1.5x plus 2.5x. So that will give us 2.5x equals to 57. So this gives us 2x plus 1.5 plus 2.5. That gives us Okay, so that gives us 6x equals to 57 minus 3. So 6x is equals to 54. So x is 54 divided by 6, which gives us 9 centimeters. So this is 9 centimeters. Question 19. The fraction 5 over 7 is equivalent to this recurring decimal. Find the 599 digit after the decimal point in this recurring decimal. So it's easy. All we need to do is to check the nature of the recurring decimal. If we see 7 repeats after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, after every 6 digits, it starts all over again. So we just need to get the closest multiple of 7 to 599. So pulling up our calculator is a calculator paper. So we have 599 divided by 7. Okay, so the decimal part is 85. So it basically means if I do 85 times 7, what do I get? I get 595. Okay, so 595 plus 4 will give us the number there, which is 599. So I have 599. Good. So what this means is if we keep this keeps reoccurring, we're going to get the next block, which will be whole number, will be the last block that will be whole number, will be the 85th multiple of 7, okay, which is 595. So all I need to do is to count, then I will get to the value, which is, so let's see. So let's say if by the 85th multiple, we are here, so we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4. So that digit must be 8. Okay, so the digit must be 8 because after the 85th multiple of 7, which is 595, we will be at 5. So if we start counting 1, it will be at 7. Okay, so if we start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, which is the extra 4, which is the remainder to get to 599, that will give us 8 as a digit. Good. Now, a circle has an area 48.34 centimeters square. Calculate the radius of the circle. So we know that the area of a circle is equals to pi r square. Okay, area of a circle is pi r square. We are required to give our answers to 3 significant figures. So all we need to do first, foremost, say pi r square pi. When we're using pi, let's see. So most times in checkpoint, we use pi as 3.14. 3.14. Okay, so let's flip back to the question and substitute that. That will lead us to our answer. Okay, so using that, area 48.34 is equals to pi. I'm using 3.14, which is the same dp as the area, okay, times r squared. So basically, r squared is equals to 48.34 divided by 3.14. So let's see what we get here. So we're getting 15.39. So the radius there is 15.39 to 2 dp. And if we take the square root, so first of all, let's take this 15.39. And therefore, r will be the square root of. So if we take that square root, what do we get? And that gives us 3.92 approximately as our. So here is 3.92 to 3 significant figures and to 2 dp. So that's our answer to question 20. Now let's go to question 21. It says 3 children share some sweets in the ratio 3:5 to 9. One gets 12 more sweets than one of the other children. Find the 3 possible totals for the number of sweets that the 3 children share. Okay, since it's a ratio, we know that they are multiplying by a constant number. Let that number be x. So basically, we have 3x, 5x. Then we have 9x. Good. Okay, if we total this basically gives us 3x plus 5x, that's 8x plus 9x. So we get 17x. Now there's clearly a difference. So if you start taking the differences one after the other, so the first one, we have 5x minus 3x. This gives us 2x. Okay, so let's find a difference. 9x minus 5x. Okay, we have 4x here. Then lastly, we have 9x minus 3x. So 9x minus 3x, we get 6x. Now there's a statement they made that one child gets 12 more sweets than one of the other 3 children. Now taking the first case where we have this difference between the second child and the first child as 2x. So we can continue and say this implies that 2x is equal to the difference, which is 12. Okay, so assuming that the second child gets 12 more sweets compared to the first. So 2x is equals to 12 implies that x is equals to 12 over 2. 12 over 2 gives us what? 6. Okay, now we'll go to the second one. 9x minus 5x gives us 4x. So we have 4x is equals to 12, which implies that x is equals to 12 over 4, which is equals to 3. The last one, we have 9x minus 3x, which is equals to 6x. So 6x is equals to 12, which gives me x is equals to 12 over 6, which is equals to 2. Okay, so we see what did we achieve here. The question clearly tells us that one child gets 12 more sweets than one of the other children. Okay, so we've done all the permutation. I will say the second child gets more sweets than the first child, so that will be 5x minus 3x. The difference is 2x. That 2x must be equals to 12. So that gives us x as 6. Okay, now in the second instance, where the third child get 12 more sweets than the second child, that is 9x minus 5x, which gives us 4x. So 4x is equals to 12, giving us x equals to 3. Okay, the last possibility where because the question didn't tell us specifically the second, so we have to take every possibility into consideration here. Okay, so 9x minus 3x in the event of the third child getting 12 more sweets than the first child. So that's 6x. 6x equals to the required difference, which is 12x, gives us 12 over x equals to 2. Okay, however, we already know that the sum of these ratios, it gives us 70x. X is a number that we need to multiply these ratios. So in the event that, so all we need to know is to substitute different values we've gotten for x here. When x is 6, when x is 3, when x is 2. So when x is 6, that gives us 17 times 6. 17 times 6 gives us 102. Okay. Then the next instance, we have 17 times 3. This is 51. Then the last instance, we have 17 times 2, which gives us 2, which gives us 34 rather. So in the last instance, we have 17 times 2. This gives us 34. So the required totals should be 34, okay, 51, or 102. Okay, so this satisfies the requirement of this question. Question 22. Point A has coordinates 3, 4. Point B has coordinates 5, 5. Point C has coordinates 9y. A, B, C lie on a straight line. Find the value of y. Now, if these numbers lie on a straight line, it means one thing. It means that their gradient must be the same. Okay. Now, for the gradient of it, let's call this, okay, this is point A, this is point B. So for the gradient of AB, that gradient will be the change in y, which is y2 minus y1, divided by the change in x, that's x2 minus x1. Good. So we know that this is x, this is y. So we take this as our, this is our x1, this is our y1, meaning that in this case, our x2 is 5, our y2 is 5. So let's find that gradient of AB. So that will be y2 5 minus y1, which is 4, divided by x2 5 minus x1, which is 3. So this basically is 1 over 2. Okay, now let's find the gradient of, we can choose any of the coordinates. In this case, I want to choose gradient of, I want to make it of the coordinates B and C. So I'll say gradient BC. So in this case, we use the same formula, y2 minus y1, divided by x2 minus x1. Good. Now, for this particular gradient, I will use my x1, y1 as, so 5 and 5. Okay, so these are my x2 and y2. So 9 is my x2, y is my y2. So substituting directly, this will be y minus 4 divided by 9 minus 3. X2 is 9 minus 3. So I'm going to have So what's the meaning of this? Now, we already know that the grade, since it's a straight line, the gradient will not change. The gradient is half. So I can simply say this means that half is equals to y minus 4 divided by 9 minus 3, which is 6. It's a simple equation which we cross multiply. And we're going to have 2 bracket y minus 4 is equals to 6. Okay, so this gives me 2y minus 8 is equals to 6. 2y is equals to 8 plus 6, or 6 plus 8. 2y is equals to 14. So clearly we see that y will be equals to 14 divided by 2, which is equals to 7. So y is equals to 7. So it's a very simple question, and it doesn't need to be very lengthy like this. All you need to recognize is you can easily evaluate the gradient by simply saying, okay, let me get the gradient of AV, y2 minus y1, quickly substitute this, recognize that answer is half, then you try to do the gradient again, because the straight line, the gradient should remain the same. So half, in this case, we made use of coordinates B and C. If I decide to make use of coordinates A and C, we'll still get the same answer, because it is a straight line, and the gradient of a straight line doesn't change. Question 23. 12 children in class Y estimate how long 1 minute lasts for. They each shut their eyes and put their hands in the air when they think 1 minute has passed. The stem and leaf diagram shows the times in seconds for 11 of the children. This is our key. So 5, 6 represents 66 seconds. So 6, 8 represents 68 seconds. Now for all 12 children in class Y, the median time is 64.5 seconds. The range of the times is 33 seconds. So 11 of the 12 children have been captured there. So 1 is missing. We're going to use this information to find it out. Now we know that range is usually the highest value, okay, minus the lowest value. Okay, so 2 things are possible here. It's possible that the range, the highest value is here, or any place here, or maybe it is here, or any place on this row. Okay, but usually for a stem and leaf diagram, since there are no extra data, we'll start from the beginning. Good. So let's say there is a high value here. So in that case, I will say x minus the lowest value here is 56 seconds. That gives us the range, which is 33 seconds. Good. So x is equals to 33 plus 56. So this gives us, okay, so we have 33 plus 56 giving us 89 seconds. Okay. Now, if it is true that we have this here, now let's look out for the median time. The median time should be a particular center. For now, let's ignore the y. We say, okay, now the missing number there is 89 seconds. So let's see how this works out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we block it out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in that case, our median will be these central values of 5 and 7. Okay. So we can say median is equals to 5 plus, now, literally this means 65 plus 67. Okay, so we should be conscious of that. So this is 65 plus 67 divided by 2. Okay, so clearly the median will be equals to 65 plus 67. That gives us 132. 132 divided by 2, we are going to have 66 seconds as the median, but that's clearly wrong. Okay, because the median time has been given to us to be 64.5 seconds. So it means that that number isn't here. So we cancel that. This is wrong. There's no data set here. Okay, so let's recalculate using y and see if we get what we are supposed to get, which is the median to be 64.5 seconds. So in this case, the highest number here will be 76. I will say 76 minus y is equals to 33 seconds. So 76 minus 33, basically, this one will give us, so we'll have 43 seconds here, okay? So I can replace that y and write 43. Let's see how it plays out. Okay, let's estimate the median again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, counting from the bottom, then from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, since the data set is even 12 in this case, the median will be the arithmetic mean of the two central values. So the median in this case will be, so I'm going to have median is equals to 64 seconds plus 65 seconds, everything divided by 2. So this gives us 129, okay, divided by 2, which gives us specifically 64.5 seconds. Now remember, this is the median that we're expected to get. So 64.5 seconds. So it means that the 12th value is 43 seconds and not here. Okay. So we reject 89 seconds here, and we complete the Stemmer-Lee diagram with this tree. So this is how we calculate it. Now let's go to the next question. 12 children in class C are also asked to estimate how long 1 minute lasts for. For the 12 children in class Z, the median time is 61.5 seconds. The range of the time is 46 seconds. So Eva says, children in class Z are better at estimating how long 1 minute lasts for than the children in class Y. Now let's see. If the children in class Z are getting a median time of 61.5 seconds, okay, why these ones in class Y are getting 64.5 seconds? We know that 1 minute is actually equals to 60 seconds, okay? 1 minute is equals to 60 seconds. So those children in class Z are having a value, a median time that is closer to the true value. So use information about the medians and ranges for class Y and Z to complete the sentences. Eva may be correct because the median, because the median time for class Z is closer, okay, to the true or the accurate time. We know we put in brackets 60 seconds. Simple. Now, Eva may not be correct. Now, if it's also possible that Eva may not be correct statement, okay, now we look at the range. We see something. The range for class Z is 46 seconds. Okay, while the range for class Y is 33 seconds. What does it tell us? It tells us that there are some values, there are some students that had a very bad estimate of 1 minute. Okay, and that skewed the range. So possibly we had a very large number or very low numbers, giving us mean that became a range that is quite inaccurate. Okay, so Eva may not be correct because the range, okay, for class Z, okay, is bigger. Okay, what does it? This suggesting, okay, very high value, suggesting values were more, the values varied more than it should be. So how do we put it? The range for class Z is bigger, suggesting varied values. Okay, so I think this should do it. So this gives us 2 marks for this. Now let's go to question 24. I think this is the last question. The diagram shows a shape formed by an isosceles triangle ABC joined to a semicircle with diameter AB. Find the perimeter of the shape. Now to find the perimeter of the shape, we need to just get the distance around the shape. We already know this part 13, 13. So we just need to get the circumference of this semicircle, add it up to these 2 radii, and we get our answer. Now, before we do that, we need to find the radius of this semicircle. So let's call here x. So using Pythagoras theorem, because this is a right angle triangle, we simply say 13 square is equals to x square plus 12 square. So 13 square is 169 equals to x square plus 144. So x square is equals to 169 minus 144, which is equals to 25. So we take the square root of both sides. So this implies that x is equals to square root of 25, okay, which is equals to 5 centimeter. So the radius of this semicircle is 5. So from this, we will now be able to calculate the circumference of the semicircle. First, the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. A semicircle is half of a circle. So the circumference of a semicircle will be 2 pi r over 2. Okay? So for a semicircle, we divide by 2, and this 2 cancels this, giving us C is equals to pi r for a semicircle. So let's get that. Pi is 3.14, this is a calculator paper, times the radius of 5. We just calculated that. This gives us, so we have 3.14 times 5. We get 15.7. The circumference of the semicircle is 15.7 centimeter. Good. Now remember, the question is asking us about the perimeter. So we just need to add this round, and that gives us the perimeter of that composite shape. So perimeter is equals to, okay, 13 plus 13. Okay, so the radius here plus this part we just calculated. Okay, that is 15.7. So we total this, 13 plus 13 gives us 26. So 26 plus 15 gives us 41.7 centimeter. And this brings us to the end of the Stage 9 2025 progression test. So kindly like, share, and subscribe.